War of the Worlds 2025 is the latest adaptation of the H.G. Wells novel. It's been adapted many different times as a radio show, old classic movie, Spielberg movie with Tom Cruise, TV show. Now we have an Amazon Prime original screen life movie. That's right. Takes place entirely on a computer screen, just like Searching, Unfriended, Missing. The catch in this case is that they got a big actor for this one. Move aside, John Cho. We got fucking Ice Cube. Ice Cube works for the government. He works as a domestic terror analysis, so he's on his computer on some top secret program, just checking in on everybody, hacking into things, listening in for, keywords, trying to find this, anonymous type character called Disruptor. When all of a sudden, the War of the Worlds happens. And that's kind of the movie. It's just a lot of the stuff that people find interesting happens off screen, and this movie is kind of more in service to just a screen life, data is the key this time kind of thing. This movie kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden it was being promoted that it was going to drop on Amazon Prime Video, and I was like, what the fuck is that? How the fuck did they keep this a secret? And when I found out about the screen life aspect, I was like, okay, there we go. As far as I know, though, looking on the Wikipedia entry, it says they cast Ice Cube in an untitled, film back in 2020, and they never really said this was War of the Worlds until much later, at least as far as I can tell. That's how the rollout of this thing went. But this announcement was in September 2020 that Ice Cube was going to be in a movie. 2020. Key COVID times. It is now 2025, in case you forgot. What the fuck happened? So the fact that it was just getting unceremoniously kind of dropped on Amazon Prime, it was kind of shaping up to be a movie where I was like, I'm trying not to so much indulge in everything streaming has to offer, because if I just devote my life to that, it's I'm missing the stuff that goes to theaters or stuff that I want to explore more that is part of film history. And I have a lot of cynicism when it comes to streaming content. But the fact that this debuted with a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's in the Amazon top 10 when I went on the app, but it seems like it's only people who are watching out of morbid curiosity, sharing clips online of how awful it was. I was like, well, shit. Genuinely, my key kickoff to finally watching it was when Double Toasted was like, we're gonna do a spoiler roast of this movie, in the next couple days. So I was like, well, shit, I gotta get ready. You know what I mean? I don't want to be too left out of here. Nothing can prepare you for just how bad Ice Cube is in this movie. If we can just jump right into it, move over the fact that his character, they set up a very overprotective dad character. He's watching people all the time. He's also watching his family. Despite the fact that there are times where he wants to take his job seriously, he'll be like, I gotta do this, I gotta do my job, leave me alone. Of course I don't have a USB here. The government facility I'm at doesn't allow that ever. I take my job seriously. He also just takes numerous times to check in on his family throughout the day. He just has multiple tabs open on this top secret government program, that allows him to do his spy work, where he just checks in on them all the time. So they give him that kind of character, you can kind of see the beats play out. He just has to learn how to let go a bit, loosen the reins. And there's some tragic backstory, wife died of a mysterious illness. Was it COVID? I'm not sure, because the years since she died of mysterious illness seem to line up with a COVID thing. But there is a point I feel I saw someone using an SD card that had 2020 as a date written on it. So I don't know. I don't fucking know. The way that story plays out is fairly just generic. I did spy on you guys, but it was because I love you. Are there points where his family will try to call him out on this stuff? Of course. Are there points where Ice Cube will finally admit to himself yeah, what I was doing, even though I have my reasons, was fucked up? No, it's kind of more just the, look, I know I'm this way, but it's because I want to be a good parent. Look at these screenshots I took of you. This shows how much I love you because I watch you. It's not creepy as fuck at all. That part of the movie is just so simplistic and just lame, but then you add in Ice Cube's truly awful, miscalculated performance in this. And this is definitely a screen life movie where I'm not even sure the actors had a way of listening to each other talk. I am not sure who was in the same room as each other, in this movie. There's only one point where two characters finally kind of get together, and it's okay, I know those two are in the same room together. Everybody else, they could have filmed this on separate days. They might have listened to some audio. They might not have. Someone could be feeding them they might have someone to act off of. It might not be Ice Cube. Ice Cube, though, is definitely, like, in my opinion, the worst. You know, he's the lead, so he has the most time here. There's so many awkward cuts to him with his very obviously, I think, ad-libbed, like, commentary on what is going on. And you can kind of feel like the emotion is not really in it for him. He tries to give it that, like, Ice Cube vibe, his, like, line delivery sometime, but you can tell, like, it's lacking something. It's lacking, like, the person being there. It's lacking the director coming in and, like, telling him, like, you gotta do it this way. And this is, you know, a big deal for this director. You know, he's very famous for music videos. He's done ones for Lana Del Rey, Michael Bublé, Eminem, P. Diddy, and many more. So this is like a big step up, and doing something like a Screen Life movie has proven with movies like Searching or Missing, you know, they can be very technically impressive. And in this movie, it does not help that we are looking at a top secret government program, which is probably, if I had to take a guess, entirely fictitious use of technology. I can't act like I know what goes on because, you know, there's a lot of top secret things out there. A lot of stuff governments don't tell you, resources that maybe they have that, you know, are not available. But I'm looking at this program that Ice Cube used, and I'm just like, this is definitely, like, entirely made up. Like, there's just certain key things added in, like, with their, like, I guess graphic design in this instance, where I'm like, why would any program do that? You know what I mean? Why would any of that happen? Why is Ice Cube constantly FaceTiming people? And that's the thing, right? Is that because it's a movie and you have actors that need to play a part in it, you know, you want to give them some screen time. With some movies like Searching or Missing, I feel like in the context of those stories, there's at least some groundwork for that to work. And also, it's not just entirely that. Like, they do a lot more of, like, the texting, internet searching, you know, than you'd expect. And in the case of Missing especially, you know, that goes into some very interesting directions as far as, like, how they capture the third act. But this movie, you know, there's, like, some texting. Most of it is Ice Cube FaceTiming people while he's at work. I think that's the thing that gets me the most, is that it's like, this is so obviously wrong that he's, like, doing so much of this personal stuff at work, but he's also FaceTiming people only all the time. Like, every single call is a FaceTime. I guess it's lucky that, you know, when he's working as a domestic terror analyst, he's in an office completely by himself. He also, they have a throwaway line where it's like, you know, he's working like a graveyard Sunday shift at the government, but literally no one in this government building is there. Nobody except Ice Cube. He's the only one who's, like, in danger when the third act starts to kick in and the aliens show up, you know? It's like, that's ridiculous. That's a little too ridiculous and a little too easy and very convenient. And speaking of those aliens, I guess I should probably mention them. It is the War of the Worlds, after all, complete with someone dropping in that title at a very funny point. But it's awful. Every single time they show it, and they play it entirely through, like, either news coverage or someone's on FaceTime with Ice Cube, of course, and they're like, oh my god, look at this. And then Ice Cube's commentary is, get away from that! Oh, no shit, man. That's great, you know? Weird levels of, like, how much energy he'll put into something. He'll, like, scream for one character he barely knows, or knows just a little bit through work, but, like, when it comes to his own family, sometimes he'll be, like, sad or worried, and his face just, it just looks like he's, like, kind of confused. Like, he's just looking at his screen like, what am I supposed to click? Like, that's the face he's giving. But those aliens, every single, like, brief moment of, like, action that features them looks terrible. The visual effects look horrific in this movie. It does not look good in the slightest every single time they cut to them. So many, like, stock-ass explosions that you'd be more, like, forgiving of if you saw it in, like, a fucking comedy video. Like, if you saw it in a Smosh sketch or whatever. It's something akin to that. But a big-budget movie, streaming or not, filmed during COVID or not, will always look awful. There's no good blend here. The acting, despite the fact that it's filled with a cast of people who are usually pretty dependable, like Clark Gregg, Phil Coulson. He's in this movie. Eva Longoria plays a NASA scientist. Okay. The lead actress, Amon Benson, who is in The Midnight Club, Mike Flanagan show, she's the lead in that. You know, she's in this. Henry Hunter Hall. You also have Devin Bostic, you know, Roderick from The Diary of a Wimpy Kid trilogy, the original movies. And it's not like anyone in this cast is doing, like, an inherently awful job. It's not like you're watching them and you're like, oh my god, that's the worst acting. Who even hired them? It's like, no, I can see, like, there's still shades of, like, what makes them good actors in here. It's just, number one, the screen life thing obviously must be a hard thing to adjust to when it comes to acting, especially when they're relying on the FaceTime so much. But also, it's the fact that they're directed just so off. You know what I mean? And it does not help that sometimes, like, there's one character, the Sec Def, I'm pretty sure was the tagline. They cut to him, like, maybe 3 times throughout the entire movie. 2 of them, he's at a golf course. Like, the same position on the same golf course, you know, looking in the same way. And at this point, the aliens are well into attacking. There's a point where the president is in the Oval Office, despite the fact, you know, if the aliens are attacking, which at this point they are, he would be in a bunker. He's taking a fucking Zoom call in the Oval Office. Do they know anything? The green screen work for some of these people, like where they are, looks absolutely ridiculous. There's a point where they try to do like the Jaws thing, you know, where they like, what trick do? They like dolly in but zoom out, you know, as they, you know, go towards a character. They try to do that for Ice Cube's stationary webcam where he might be in front of a green screen already. It looks so awful and so funny looking. This movie is edited really poorly as well. Like there are so many times where I'm watching it, I'm like, what are they doing? What are they thinking cutting this all together like this? God, at least it's short. Amazon. We have to talk about how Amazon Prime saves the day. Essentially, they figure out they have to upload a virus akin to Independence Day into a main server because the tripods are here to collect data this time. Nothing works without data. Things are falling and failing, whatever, without this precious data. But Ice Cube is like, we got to upload a virus into a mainframe that they're going to absorb or something. I don't know. It gets a little too fucking convoluted for me to keep track of. Also, this is spoilers, by the way. It comes a point where Ice Cube finds out that the anonymous character that he's been tracking is his son. And he finds that out by doing something he probably should have done a long time ago. Like, if he's been tracking this guy for as long as he said, it's like, dude, you just did like a couple new right clicks on this audio file that you could have had access to at any time. Why didn't you do this first? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, but his son was hacking the government and his son leaked classified information, whatever. But there's a point where they start working together. His son sends him like a kill file or whatever, and he's like, you just need to plug the USB into a server. And Ice Cube's like, I don't have a USB. Boy, this is a top secret facility. We don't let USBs in the build, whatever. And Devin Bostic, bless him, he's like, his character is an Amazon delivery man. And there's a point where he's like, oh, I got an idea. I have one of the Amazon Prime delivery drones right here, and I have a USB just on my person. You should put in an order right now, and I will pilot this drone to this government facility that you're at. Just fly it into the building, you know, find you, and then you're good. It stops. The movie stops so that the third act, the thing that saves the third act, can be an ad for fucking Amazon drone deliveries. Like, insane. Complete with, like, VR headset, like, alright, I'm flying through. I need some cover here. As he's flying a drone through the fucking tripods. It crashes at one point, but a homeless man is nearby, so they're like, give him a $1,000 Amazon gift card. He'll flip it over, and he does. And when they do that, and he does. So much Amazon, and there's a continued use of an analogy of like, you know, there's better things to do in life than track what people's Amazon carts is, you know what I mean? It's like, they say that a couple times. I know it's an Amazon movie, but I feel like, you know, the Universal logo still popped up at first, you know? This was probably meant for theaters maybe at one point, or at the very least they're, you know, being co-distributed by a theatrical chain. But what the fuck were they thinking with this much like fucking brand integration? It's very akin to how like Sony, no matter what, they will have like a Sony Vaio, Sony tablets, you know, Sony products will be in their movies, even if it's like almost like unrealistic how much usage a Sony, you know, tech thing it gets in a movie, right? But at the very least, those aren't like emphasized as like, this is gonna save the day, Spider-Man. Yeah, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, plug in this Sony Vaio after you fucking swing on a Sony drone and then plug it into a PlayStation connected to the government or something like that. You know, there's no like Sony cross-promotion that egregious. This is like, they're literally integrating it so they can save the third act of this movie. holy fucking shit, I was cackling at so many points. I was cackling at so much of the laughable dialogue and groaning at some of the attempts of, like, genuine comedy put in, because it's all very expected. It's Ice Cube, like, calling his son, his video games, like, those are dumbass video games, or, alright, Disruptor, let's disrupt some shit. He quotes a Ludacris song at one point when a fucking alien tendril gets into the building, and he's like, move, bitch! Get out the way! And it's like, God fucking damn it. It's like groaners all across the board and just so many laughable on the nose points of dialogue. Like, oh, when fucking Eva Longoria is like calling him, for whatever reason, she's calling him about like, you see this crazy ass weather? And he just responds with like, nah, we don't watch weather, we watch people. It's like, then why are you guys communicating at all? What the fuck is any of that? Are you guys friendly? Are you guys dating? What is this dynamic? You know what I mean? And I never quite could tell. The ending of the movie seems to imply something that is still unclear. I think that's the thing about it, is that, like, the way I'm describing it, it probably sounds like a surface level, just kind of like, oh, it just sounds like a forgettable kind of like Screen Life attempt at War of the Worlds. But actually watching it and seeing how inept so much of, like, the filmmaking, the technical display, the visual effects, the writing, the acting, the directing of your actor, like, seeing it all play out in that hour 30-minute runtime is truly quite the experience. I can only recommend it as just a, you know, gather some friends together to laugh, or if you just want a good laugh, you know, there it is. I could definitely see some people, like, being in absolute misery, though, especially if, like, you're a big War of the Worlds person and you're seeing what they're doing to this. What they're doing to that original property. It's now this. This is War of the Worlds right now. I gotta give War of the Worlds an F, and I don't really give that grade that much anymore in life. I'm always looking for, like, the one good thing. You know, I do try to emphasize at least some positives. You know, I'm not trying to just be dogpiling when I know that there could be something to, like, you know, admire or praise, or just give some form of props to. This movie has nothing. You know, it's not an interesting, you know, unique attempt on the story, because we've seen the Screen Life thing played out better in other things. Applying it to War of the Worlds could have been interesting, but the storytelling choices they have to make and change from the original now to service this, I don't think it worked, and I don't think the main character, you know, that story works. I don't think that family drama works at all. It gets very little play, and it's just treated very simplistically to a point where it feels very dumb. The visual effects look awful. Brief moments of, like, tension or action you're supposed to feel are undercut because of the visual effects and just the choppy nature of how everything is cut together. This director, I do not think, knew how to hone in on one actor's performance. Everyone is there trying to do the best that they can, but at a certain point, it's like, yeah, even someone who is dependable like Clark Gregg, you know, even he can feel very lost in this, where it's like, what am I supposed to play? How am I supposed to play this? I guess I'm supposed to do it this way. I fucking loved watching this movie, but it is absolutely horrendous. Go check it out if you want. I really hope that, because once again, it's on the, like, Amazon top 10, I think only because of morbid curiosity watchers. I hope that, you know, even though the word of mouth is that this is abysmal, I hope that Amazon isn't like, well, we've got a hit on our hands, though. That's the only thing that matters. Or if they try to do more of these, like, awful Screen Life movies. I think that's the thing also, is, like, a lot of, like, what makes those movies so impressive is the fact that it is so related and connected to reality. You know, they're using the products that they have and what they can do to their advantage. Whereas this, it's like, as soon as you introduce the top secret government program, it's like, all right, well, I'm just looking at this as purely a fantasy. You know, they're trying to make it look as realistic as possible, but I just do not buy, you know, the screens that I am looking at here. I do not buy that Ice Cube wouldn't be immediately tracked and fired for the extra activities that he's doing while he's clocked in at work. You know, I find that completely ridiculous. But if you've seen this version of War of the Worlds, leave your thoughts in the comments below what you thought of it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.